something else that's also in the news this morning is Laurence Fox has been ordered to pay £180,000 in libel damages, and we're joined by Crystal, who is the drag artist who sued him. Now, Fox called her and former Stonewall trustee Simon and Blake paedophiles on social media. A judge ruled this remark was gross, groundless and indefensible. Crystal joins us now. Crystal, thanks for coming in.
Thank you for having me
this morning. And, you know, what a sort of thing that you've been through. Are you satisfied with the outcome now?
Yes, incredibly. I think the feeling is vindication. It took 3.5 years to get to this point, but it was incredibly vindicating to see the judge's comments and to have, you know, the hurt that Laurence Fox caused me recognized. And obviously the money is great on top, but yeah, it's very vindicating.
When he tweeted you and referred to you as a paedophile, I mean, a lot of us get lots of abuse on Twitter, and I sort of I'll just dismiss it. What was the sort of the turning point for you? What was the trigger that you thought, you know what, I'm not just going to block him, I'm not going to delete this, I'm not just going to ignore it and carry on with my day, I'm actually going to have my day in court?
There's a few reasons. You know, paedophilia is one of the oldest homophobic tropes that there is, and it's a very sticky and serious accusation that can linger on someone's reputation. But beyond that, it had such a wide reach. I mean, he had such a huge following on Twitter, but then it was picked up in every media outlet, and it was picked up in a way that said he'd gone on a bizarre rant, but it wasn't necessarily denied in the media. And then, you know, I was getting sent screenshots from people on Facebook where people were calling me a pedo. You know, hundreds of people on X calling me a nonce. It was really a full spectrum of hate coming my way, and I had no idea what the implications were going to be for my career, for my safety. I felt like I needed to kind of robustly defend myself.
And you did come under threats as well. You had, you know, people, verbal threats, but also physical threats as well.
Yeah, you know, I've attended events where people have threatened me in the street just for being in drag. You know, the rhetoric that this is all about, which is calling queer people a danger to children, has really permeated our society, I feel, and it's become more and more acceptable for people to use that kind of language, and that's translating to people in the street, you know, threatening violence. And I think it's very sad and very scary, and I hope that this judgment reminds people that there are serious consequences to that kind of language.
Yeah. So you won a combined total of £180,000 in damages. You were sharing between the two of you, but there was a third person who joined you in court as well. So you're going to share it with Nicola Thorpe.
That's correct. Yeah, we've decided there were 3 of us who were claimants against Laurence Fox. We went through this entire process together. It was 3.5 years. Only 2 of us have received damages because of a kind of quirk of the legal system. So we've agreed to share the damages 3 ways.
Right.
Which only seems fair. We couldn't have done this without each other.
And do you have plans for the money?
I'd love to give a large portion of the rest of it to charity. Ideally, some charities that work with LGBTQ youth, people of colour. Those are the 2 issues that kind of sparked this whole thing. And then, I don't know, maybe I'll buy a bidet with a fox head on it and I can think of Laurence Fox at a certain time every day.
Fair enough. I suppose it's your money now. You can do what you like with it. Just finally, what message would you have for Laurence Fox and people in Laurence Fox's position who feel that, you know, that Twitter or Facebook or wherever they are is some sort of place where they can send these kind of tweets and cause this kind of abuse? What message would you say to him?
You know, I've kind of given up trying to speak to Laurence Fox because he hasn't learned anything. There's an injunction against him about repeating the kind of things that he said about me, and it hasn't stopped him as much as late as last night he was saying he stands by what he said. So I don't think there's any getting through to him, but to everyone else, you know, queer people are not a danger to your children, and if you think that that's the case, you've been fed a lie. We're just trying to live our lives. And if you're going to accuse us of being paedophiles, then there might be ruinous financial consequences for you.
Crystal, thanks
Crystal,
very much.
it's incredibly brave what you've been through. And it can't have been easy doing that in a court and coming on national television and talking about it as well.
But I make it look good, don't I?
You make it look... I've got to say, you make it look pretty good. Yeah.
Far too early for this.
And that only takes you a couple of minutes, right?
Yeah. I actually slept like this.
Now, Ian and Jackie, lots of us, you know, especially those that are in the public eye, get abuse. You know, I get it all the time. If it wasn't for Susanna teaching me how to do some of the blocking and all that filtering, I would still get it now. And thankfully, I don't get lots of it. But this is a reminder, isn't it, for all of us that live our lives on social media, that you are still subject to the law. Somehow people feel they've got free rein to just throw abuse at each other.
Yeah, but, I mean, Crystal's right. It's actually enormously difficult then, quite often, to take action against it. It takes a lot of bravery and quite often a lot of financial resource behind you, potentially, in order to be able to do it. And people like... You know, I almost don't want to talk about him because, of course, his whole way of operating is to create controversy and hate as as media outlets refuse to use him as a way of getting attention. But this is a victory against hate, and people need to understand that whether on social media or face-to-face or in the street or whatever, there will be consequences, as Crystal rightly says and has shown, for people who want to pursue that sort of horrible way of being.
Ian, do you think it will make people think twice about saying all sorts of things on social media?
Unfortunately, it won't, because there are people who just thrive on hating, and they will continue to hate. I mean, Laurence Fox is a stain on our public life, and I hope this kind of judgment makes people in the media think twice about inviting him onto their shows. I mean, when he first appeared, he was quite a famous actor, and I remember the first time I saw him on Question Time, and this was years and years ago, I thought, well, it's quite refreshing to have somebody who comes from a profession which seems to be on the left, sort of being a bit sort of maverick. But he's taken that to an extreme, hasn't he? And, I mean, I had him on my show once, and I said to my producer afterwards, never invite him again, because he was just repellent and just seemed to enjoy winding people up, saying hateful things, and we can do without that.
Yeah, OK. Well, thank you. And, Crystal, thank you so much.
Thank you.